Germany's foreign minister has urged her government to consider sending much-needed Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine.
Ukraine claims to have sunk another Russian warship in the Black Sea. Footage allegedly shows the patrol vessel Sergei Kotov being struck by several sea drones.
UNRWA chief says his agency is facing a deliberate and concerted campaign from Israel to undermine its aid operation in Gaza.
The European Commission has laid out a long-term vision to develop military capabilities as quickly as possible and move away from emergency responses in the face of conflict. The leak of discussions on possibly supplying Taurus missiles to Ukraine was caused by an officer using an unsecured phone line, according to Germany's defense minister.
Germany's foreign minister has called on the government to intensively consider potential deliveries of Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz earlier rejected the delivery of such long-range weapons to Kyiv. Scholz says his government should have control over the weapon, which could hit targets deep within Russia. Meanwhile, a Russian attack in the Ukrainian Kherson region left one person dead and damaged residential buildings. Russia targeted 16 areas in Kherson, hitting 9 multi-story buildings, 16 private houses, and educational institutions. In total, 3 territorial communities came under fire. In Odessa, tributes are being paid to the 12 people killed in a Russian shelling last weekend. 5 of them were children from the ages of 4 months to 9 years. A spontaneous memorial with flowers has been set up near a house hit by a Russian drone.
Ukraine claims to have sunk another Russian warship in the Black Sea. Military intelligence released a video which allegedly shows the patrol vessel Sergei Kotov being struck by several sea drones. The hull of the Russian ship is struck in the footage, with explosions and fire on board. The video has not been independently verified. Moscow has not responded to the claims. On Telegram, intelligence officials said the ship had been hit by Magura V-5 sea drones made by Ukraine. They have been used to carry out previous attacks on Russia. The Ukrainian port of Odessa came under intense Russian air attacks overnight. Officials said up to 22 drones hit residential buildings and industrial areas of the city. There were no reports of casualties. Most drones were reportedly shot down by Ukrainian air defenses.
The French Navy have intercepted more than 8 tons of cocaine on the Caribbean Martinique island. 8 people were taken into custody and charged. If convicted, they could face up to 30 years in prison and a 7.5 million euro fine. The French justice system aims to trace the links between Latin American producers and European buyers. Lazzarini said the UN Agency for Palestine Refugees may soon be unable to provide vital aid due to funding cuts.
UNRWA is facing a deliberate and concerted campaign to undermine its operations and ultimately end them. Part of this campaign involves inundating donors with misinformation designed to foster distrust and tarnish the reputation of the agency. More blatant is the Israeli Prime Minister openly stating that UNRWA will not be part of post-war Gaza.
Israel has alleged UNRWA staff were complicit in Hamas's October attacks, which caused donors to cut funding. Israel has not provided evidence for these claims. On Monday, an Israeli Defense Force spokesperson alleged that over 450 employees of UNRWA are operatives in terrorist groups in Gaza. Thousands of Palestinians are fleeing starvation in northern Gaza and heading south in search of food. A worsening security situation recently forced the World Food Programme to halt aid deliveries, leaving 500,000 people facing famine. But the south is also struggling with food and aid supplies. Health officials in the southern city of Rafah say there is a growing number of underweight children being treated at hospitals.
produce more, better, together and in Europe. That's the aim of the first industrial defence strategy proposed by the European Commission on Tuesday. The aim is to provide a long-term vision to develop military capabilities as quickly as possible and to move away from emergency responses in the face of conflict. Some of the main points of the strategy include joint equipment purchases between member states to reduce costs and to harmonise defence equipment and systems.
We propose to achieve the goal by 2030 to procure 40% of equipment in a collaborative manner and to procure 50% of equipment within the European Union.
The Commission is also proposing a €1.5 billion fund for the defence industry to be dispersed over 2 years. It will ease the access to finance for small and medium-sized companies involved in the development of military equipment. It also provides a framework for launching joint defence projects or responding to future supply crises. The Commission wants the EU to be able to react to conflict, but some say the Commission needs to slow down.
Clairement, si la question est, sommes-nous dans une économie de guerre avec ce programme, avec cette stratégie? Clairement, non, nous n'y sommes pas encore. Mais c'est un premier pas qui est nécessaire pour, je dirais, amener tout doucement les États à se rendre compte qu'une démarche européenne dans la matière est nécessaire, voire même indispensable.
The first step appears to be less ambitious financially than discussions have suggested in recent months. To free up additional resources, the Commission is not ruling out the possibility of using windfall profits from frozen Russian assets to finance the Union's defence industrial capabilities. But this would require the unanimous agreement of all 27 member states. The leak of discussions on possibly supplying Taurus missiles to Ukraine was caused by an officer using an unsecured phone line, according to Germany's defence minister, Boris Pistorius. An audio tape of a military conference call was made public by Russian hackers. The incident has embarrassed the German government and raised tensions with Russia.
Der Grund, dass das Telefonat in den Reihen der Luftwaffe trotzdem mitgeschnitten werden konnte, geht auf einen individuellen Anwendungsfehler zurück. Nicht alle Teilnehmer haben sich an das sichere Einwahlverfahren gehalten, so wie es vorgeschrieben ist. Nach aktuellem Kenntnisstand ist es bei dem Teilnehmer in Singapur zum Datenabfluss gekommen. Er war über eine nicht autorisierte Verbindung, also dann damit quasi über eine offene Verbindung dazugeschaltet.
The leak has also inflamed a debate on the issue within Germany, with the country's foreign minister Annalena Baerbock calling for the long-range Taurus to be supplied to Ukraine. But Chancellor Olaf Scholz has so far refused, saying recently that sending the weapons would risk involving his country directly in the war. The leak has drawn a furious response from Russia, with Kremlin spokesperson Maria Zakharova demanding Berlin apologise and bear responsibility for what she called its destructive actions.
The German NGO SOS Humanity has accused the Libyan Coast Guard of threatening its crew members with violence and firing real bullets while they were rescuing migrants from the Mediterranean, causing at least one of them to drown. The non-governmental organisation said the migrants were forced to board a Libyan Coast Guard boat, separating at least 6 members of one family. One of SOS Humanity's ships managed to disembark 77 people at the port of Crotone in southern Italy on Monday evening. The fight against gender inequality is crucial to combating food insecurity and the climate crisis, says the latest report from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. It said that the problem with climate change is it's not stopping, but accelerating, and that women are the most affected.
If we had another 1 degree Celsius change in the climate, it means that over time women would lose 34% more of income than men in situations in middle and low income countries where there's already a lot of stress on these households to produce enough income to feed their families and to pursue their livelihoods.
According to the study, women play a vital role in the agri-food systems as farmers, retailers, wage laborers, entrepreneurs, and more. But that discriminatory gender norms and policies limit their access to land, finance, and technology, or in other words, their resilience to climate change.
A crew of American and Russian astronauts has arrived on board the International Space Station to start their 6-month mission. They docked with the ISS after a 24-hour flight in a SpaceX capsule, which launched from Florida on a Falcon 9 rocket. They are replacing a team of US, Danish, Japanese, and Russian astronauts. During their half-year stay, the new 4-person crew will prepare for the inaugural docking of Boeing's long-delayed Starliner capsule, which will be operated by 2 test pilots. A new private mini-shuttle with cargo are also due to arrive during their time on board. Shops in Bilbao have installed artwork representing the faces of Gazan children. The artwork is primarily made up of hammered glass. Its aim is to grab the attention of passers-by, reminding them of victims of the Israel-Hamas war.
Más de 30.000 muertos en Palestina. Contra ese genocidio pues teníamos que poner nuestro granito de arena y de una manera además diferente, artística, visual.
300 pairs of shoes scattered along the street are also there to remind us of children who walk in the rubble of war and those in Gaza who will never walk again.